Hello, how are you? Do you take blood pressure medication? Have you ever been to the doctor and been diagnosed with high blood pressure? Many people wonder if they'll have to take blood pressure medication forever, or if at some point, by eating properly and having a healthy lifestyle, they'll be able to stop taking it. And what is the impact of actually taking blood pressure medication for your whole life? Today, I'm going to explain all of this to you in this video. You're going to love it, and I'll even tell you how diet and lifestyle play a fundamental role in this control. You're going to love this video. Stay until the end, you won't want to miss it. Before we start, I want to ask you, do you actually have a blood pressure problem? And if so, which blood pressure medication was prescribed to you and at what dose? Have you ever gone through a period where you were taking more medication and now you're taking less? Did you used to take medication and your doctor took you off it? How does that work in your daily routine? I would love to see your comment. Many people don't know this, but the issue of high blood pressure doesn't just appear overnight. Usually, high blood pressure can be a sign, a symptom from our body that something in another organ or system is out of balance. Of course, high blood pressure can be related to genetics. There are people who, even at a younger age, already have higher blood pressure. Blood pressure can also be related to aging, As our arteries age, they become stiffer and more resistant, and this can affect blood pressure. It can also be related to kidney problems, and often we don't know which came first, right? High blood pressure that causes kidney problems, or a kidney problem that causes high blood pressure. This can be a bit cyclical and may also be related to chronic inflammation. So, the causes can be multifactorial, and often they are really related to this decrease in the elasticity of the arteries. The heart, as a result, has to work harder to pump blood because the artery is stiffer and the pressure ends up rising. So often, even with a proper diet and a healthy lifestyle, due to these changes that end up happening in the body, some people need medication. And let me tell you right away that blood pressure medication is not a punishment, it's not a failure, it's not a sign that your body is weak or that it can't respond well to your efforts. For many people, medication may truly be necessary, and there is absolutely no shame in that. These blood pressure medications, in fact, play a very important role. We know that keeping blood pressure under control is extremely important. When we protect our blood pressure, when we manage to keep it at ideal levels, we also end up protecting our heart and our brain. High blood pressure can damage the blood vessels in the brain and can lead to problems like a stroke. These blood vessels can also cause heart attacks and other cardiovascular problems if the blood pressure is too high. As I mentioned before, when blood pressure is very high, it can cause kidney problems, issues with microcirculation, and even affect our vision. So keeping blood pressure under control is extremely important, not just for the sake of blood pressure itself, but because it can be a risk factor for other serious problems in our body. So, it's as if blood pressure medication acts like a safety scaffold, right? To use an analogy to help us understand, while the rest of the treatment is taking place, it's like a safety net to ensure that everything will be working properly. Healthy eating is extremely important. It can truly play a huge role in helping you control your blood pressure. However, I need to be very clear. You should never stop taking your medication or even reduce the dosage on your own, just because you've started eating properly, okay? Always talk to your doctor first. Changing blood pressure medication or any medication related to the cardiovascular system must always be done under a doctor's supervision because it can be very dangerous for you. Of course, as I mentioned, diet is very important because it can in fact improve many of these factors. So let's talk a little more about how our diet can help control blood pressure. If you're enjoying the video, go ahead and leave your like. That's super important to me. And if you know someone who suffers from high blood pressure, share this video with them. Let's expand our chain of kindness. So now, let's talk about diet, which is a very important point in this video. After all, I am a dietitian. Let's talk a bit about this issue of vascular inflammation, because we know that inflammation of the blood vessels can increase blood pressure. So, when your diet is rich in vegetables, fruits, olive oil, fish, this helps reduce the low-grade chronic inflammation in our bodies that could contribute to arterial stiffness. So, controlling inflammation is super important. And when we think about controlling inflammation, it's also extremely important that we think about controlling insulin spikes more closely. This is a detail that people often overlook, a direct correlation between how excess sugar can harm our blood pressure, our heart, our blood vessels. I have an entire video talking more about this here on the channel, but remember that if you're thinking about reducing inflammation in your body, it's extremely important that you control glucose spikes, those blood sugar spikes. So, avoid consuming excess sugar and foods that turn into sugar in large amounts. White bread, white pasta, cakes, sweets, bakery products, and so on. Remember that you always have the option to make some delicious alternatives at home. I have many recipes here on the channel to help you as well. Another important detail is to control excess salt, because what's most important is for you to know that salt isn't just present in that little white seasoning you add to your food every day. Often, people manage to control the salt they add to their food, but forget that it's hidden in many processed foods, especially cold cuts like ham, mortadella, salami. All of these already come with a lot of salt. Foods that are sold ready to eat, like frozen lasagna, nuggets, and many of these industrialized and frozen products, contain a large amount of sodium, of salt. And what about bouillon cubes? Those ready-made seasonings, whether they come in packets or cubes, usually have a massive amount of sodium, and that can really mess with your blood pressure control. Remember that ideally, you should try to control this as much as possible. Avoid having a salt shaker on the table, because this way, you naturally and spontaneously manage to reduce the amount of sodium, of salt, in your daily diet. Before talking more about this issue of diet and lifestyle changes, I want to give you a tip that is very important. It's very important that you measure and monitor your blood pressure according to the frequency recommended by your healthcare professional. Maybe your doctor will suggest that you take this measurement every week or every day. This will really be determined by the professional who is personally following your case. And you can do this monitoring either with those home blood pressure monitors or by going to the pharmacy if you don't have access to one at home. Now, it's extremely important that you keep track of your blood pressure readings over time, precisely so you can observe any new trends. The measurement your doctor takes in the office is just a single reading, so it doesn't give them such a broad picture of how your blood pressure is on a daily basis. So it's important that you measure your blood pressure regularly so you can bring, so to speak, this record, this control of your blood pressure to your doctor, and they can say, look, that's great. There's a trend of it going down, it's staying stable. If it has increased, we'll need to adjust your medication even more. There's no shame in that. There's absolutely no problem with it. It's important for the doctor to have a broader view of how your blood pressure is doing in order to best manage your treatment. When we think about blood pressure balance, we often focus on sodium, but there are other nutrients, other minerals that really help counteract the excess sodium in our diet, such as potassium and magnesium itself. They play a very important role in maintaining this electrolyte balance. So, a diet that is rich in these foods, in these nutrients, will help in a complementary way. So, a diet rich in foods that contain a lot of potassium, like coconut water, bananas, potatoes, and even beans, is a very balanced diet. Now, you have to be careful with the amount you consume and how you prepare it, because things like French fries or beans loaded with bacon are not good. So, it should be a balanced diet, prepared in the most natural and healthiest way possible. Great sources of magnesium include pumpkin seeds, for example, whole grains, and even chocolate with 70% cocoa or more, especially when consumed in moderation as part of a healthy routine. So, just because the food is healthy doesn't mean it has to be bland. Of course, vegetables, greens, seeds, fruits, legumes are good sources for you to add variety to your daily meals and also ensure you get these important minerals. An important detail I need to mention to you is that although I talked here about a diet rich in potassium, it is not recommended that you supplement potassium on your own. In fact, this is a very important warning I want to leave here. Potassium supplementation must always be done under the supervision of a nutritionist or doctor, because since it affects this electrolyte balance, it can be dangerous for the heart when we have too much potassium in our blood. So that's the thing. With food, our body can select what it absorbs or not according to its needs, but supplements are very concentrated. So ideally, you should never do this supplementation on your own. Another very important point is to talk about body weight and vascular sensitivity. We know that weight loss may be necessary because it helps reduce vascular resistance. That is, the resistance of blood vessels improves the response of the vessels and decreases the strain on the heart. So people who are overweight or obese and experience a reduction in body weight usually see a significant improvement in blood pressure as well. So it's a matter of asking yourself, right? How is my BMI? How is my body fat percentage? Am I overweight? Have I comparatively been gaining a lot of weight, a lot of abdominal circumference over the years? And really do the work of dietary re-education, not any kind of dietary extremism, but actually re-educating your eating habits. Prioritizing those foods I mentioned to you, avoiding processed foods, deli meats, foods that are calorie dense and low in nutrients. These will definitely help you control your blood pressure as well. There is also a very important warning I want to leave here for you. Just because you've made these changes to your diet, you're more mindful of what you eat. And even if you've measured your blood pressure and thankfully the numbers are getting lower and more stable, that doesn't mean you can change your blood pressure medication on your own, stop taking it, or reduce the dose. It is very important that you never do this because hypertension can be silent, your blood pressure can go back up without you having any symptoms, but then you change your medication, stop measuring, and when you finally see your doctor, your blood pressure is already sky high, and there is a cardiovascular risk that can get worse without you noticing. So if there is a need to change the dose, the medication, the type of medication, or the time you take it, it should always be done with your doctor. This should normally be done only after months of monitoring and after the doctor has evaluated you several times during your visits and with ongoing follow-up. This change won't always happen as quickly as you want, or it may be that you do all of this and even so, the doctor decides to keep at least one medication at a certain time. Remember, this doesn't mean that you are doing anything wrong. It just means that you are, in fact, making sure that such an important part of your body, your heart, your cardiovascular system is being well taken care of. As I told you, keeping your blood pressure under control doesn't just help your heart, but also several other organs and systems in our body, and we shouldn't underestimate that. So tell me, do you have the habit of visiting a cardiologist regularly, of going to the doctor? Do you already practice these interesting habits, or are you planning to start making some of these changes in your daily life? I would love to see your comment. Remember to like the video, that really helps me here, and share it with anyone you think might enjoy it. Let's do this together. Let's expand this chain of kindness. That's what I want here with the channel. See you next time. Bye.